This year is really an exciting year. I know it's a little bit unique because there's been such a broad span of winners. How are you feeling about driving?
I think it requires everyone to chase perfection, and when it is so competitive and when there is such small margin for error, I mean, it requires everyone, including every aspect of the team and the drivers, to show up to an event ready and 100% focused on what they need to do. And every update and everything that changes could have a direct effect on whether you score points that weekend or not. And when the top 15 is separated by a second, it just goes to show how important every single aspect is, and it's crucial to get everything right on the weekend because it can determine whether you're going to have a good result or not.
Do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's just we are so competitive in terms of Formula One has always been very competitive, but this year the gap between the big teams and small teams or medium teams is very small. So few tenths can put you to have a perfect weekend, starting a good qualifying, to have a very bad qualifying, because if you miss 2-3 tenths in qualifying, then you will start P15 instead of P5, and then it make it very difficult for the race. So I think it's just very interesting. We had 7 different winners in 7 races, so I think so far it has been a great season, and I believe that it is going to continue in this way.
And what do you do as drivers to prepare for each race?
Well, some teams, most of the big teams, I'm speaking big because in terms of budget of people, the popular teams like Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes, those teams have a lot of budget compared to other teams. They run simulators to prepare themselves, the drivers.
Is this the day of the race?
Yeah. No, before, like the week before, they have their simulators to prepare the weekend. And actually, these days the simulator have very big technology that they can simulate what the car is doing at the track, so they can prepare themselves very well. In our case, we don't have one, but for example, our preparation is we have to be very fit for the races because they are very long. They are 2 hours, the races, and it's very, very long to be sitting in that car for such a while, especially if it's hot. You sweat a lot and it's very hot inside the car. Also the forces that you have into a corner, like in the upper body. With the neck, you have to hold the neck into a corner to try to look at the apex. So it's a very big preparation. We train every day very hard to be ready for the next race. For example, the next race now is in 15 days in Valencia, and this is how our life is.
You work out, I would imagine, inside the car and out. What does that entail?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of the preparation, you make it in the winter when you have the break. After when you begin racing, you have so much stuff to do with the team to prepare the race, and traveling that you're just trying to maintain the level you reach at the end of the winter.
Yeah.
I have this helmet, where you can put all these weights on, which is quite embarrassing when you take it to some place and just put it on and start training the neck. But yeah, it's the way to have a strong neck.
Really? Does everybody have this, or is this you, Maria, who has your own special?
No, I mean everybody has their own way to train, and
okay.
Everybody trains in a different way. But it's very important to have a very strong neck. I think it's the most important probably in Formula One. To have, because once the neck start to get very tired, then you start to use more the shoulders, the lower back. You get very tense and you lose concentration. And if you imagine you have to be for so long in the limit of a car that reaches more than 300 kilometers an hour, and to maintain the focus is not very easy, because you are not only driving, you are doing. In my steering wheel, I have more than 27 buttons. So as long as you are fit, it's okay.
There's a whole mental side of preparation and training, and like Sergio was saying, the races are quite long. and you know, it gets very, very difficult to keep the focus at times, and especially when things are going less than optimum, or there's things that are out of your control that come up. You have to be able to kind of stay in that area where you're just completely focused on the car and doing what you need to do. And with so many options to adjust the car as you're driving, you just need to not only be able to be focused, but have the capacity in your mind to kind of realize other things and understand other things, and know where other cars are on the track and where they are strategy-wise, and what times you have to push the car and what times you need to maybe just run consistent laps. So there's a whole aspect of thinking that goes on in the car, and to make sure that your mind is ready for that, there's a whole area of preparation in that regard.
Is that something that can be taught, or is it innate?
I mean, I think all of the time that you spend in the junior formula and working your way up the ladder is all preparation for that, and there is a reason why you're taking each step, and you are, you know, making sure that you can prove yourself at each step before you go one step higher. So when you do reach Formula One, you are ready for it and you are prepared for it. But obviously, you know, being in such a limited group of people, there is, I think, a very high level of natural talent that goes around the entire grid.
Do you agree with that, Robert? I mean,
Yeah,
you've
I
seen
do.
so many drivers.
Yeah, and also, you know, to give you an idea, put it into context of the physical requirements of these guys. You know, I mean, I think there's an analogy done some years ago that if you actually had a bowling ball with a piece of string to your head, that's roughly the forces that they're doing. So you can imagine trying to hold that up. It's enormous. So I mean, they really are tremendous athletes. You know, I've always believed that, you know, if you're looking at athletes as a whole and who do you feel probably has the best package, I think for me it's always been a boxer, because he's got to do mental as well as physical, and the next one would be a racing driver, I think, because people don't realise the physical challenges that they have in a car, the damage that is done to them, you know, through a race, in terms of the stresses that are put on.